duration of it, the things that we are seeing, people that we are meeting, doing this networking, it will certainly help a lot in the future of my work.
One of the big benefits is that people in New Hampshire get the opportunity to have first-hand interactions with international visitors.
I think it's like the best which could happen to a young person to experience it.
And it's not enough to understand our policies and our programs. You need to understand who we are, because that creates the country that is the United States of America.
A lot of research behind a concept called positive behavior, intervention, and supports. And that's where students are recognized for displaying the behaviors that we want to reinforce. So again, attendance, behavior, and course performance.
Recently, a group of 13 visitors representing 12 countries across Europe participated in an IVLP project on advancing youth leadership and engagement. The participants met with youth experts and those engaged in youth-focused projects from the public and private sectors in New York City, Concord, New Hampshire, Austin, Texas, and Seattle, Washington.
And this particular topic on advancing youth engagement and leadership is really critical to our foreign policy priorities. Secretary Hillary Clinton actually created the position of the Special Advisor for Global Youth Issues, and she recognized that youth have an essential role to play in the future of their countries. And this particular project will focus on how we can involve youth in policy making, but also how we can provide youth with the skills they need to be leaders in their community.
I would love to talk and to communicate with American youth organizations to build linkages. And also we are developing the so-called Appalachian Urals project, the aim of which is to build linkages between the Appalachian area in America and the USA and the Urals region in Russia. So I would love to have some useful context to develop this project.
The topic of this program is advancing youth engagement and leadership, which is I am doing in Turkey for my entire life. The protest of Gezi Park protests, it changed everything in Turkey, everything. But most important thing is that the youth are more interested in to participate in politics. My main objective to see how the youth contribute the administration process in the US and how can we improve back in my country.
Right now I'm working with honor-related conflicts, and that would be working with forced marriages and negative social control of youth. I'm hoping that I would meet a lot of people who could give me inspiration on how to set up programs. They might not be working with at-risk youth in regards to extremism, but they might be working in regards to how to get these young people educated, how to make sure that they get employment, how to support them in civic engagement, etc., so they feel a part of the society.
Sponsored by the U.S. Department of State under the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, the International Visitor Leadership Program, or IVLP, is a professional exchange experience like no other. For up to 3 weeks, current and emerging leaders representing a variety of fields experience America firsthand. They travel from big cities to small towns, cultivating long-lasting relationships with Americans. Here they meet with their professional counterparts and visit public and private sector organizations related to participants' professional interests and project objectives.
This is where Americans engage the world, where we tell our story, where we talk about who we are, where we learn from each other, and all of it connected to our primary policy interests. We want there to be peace and prosperity around the world. We want strong civil societies. We want opportunity for all people. We want freedom of expression. And public diplomacy tells the American story about how we work for that every day.
Talking about how censorship is so anti-American, quotas are considered anti-American. I think it's the sort of thing that we're just not going to have quotas. It's not something that Americans feel comfortable with.
In 1940, President Roosevelt named Nelson Rockefeller the coordinator of commercial and cultural affairs for the American republics. Rockefeller initiated the Exchange of Persons program with Latin America, inviting 130 Latin American journalists to the United States. This is the first recognized exchange under what would become IVLP. More than 200,000 visitors have interacted with Americans through this program.
It's all the same fundamental purpose, and that is the inherent value of bringing Americans in certain fields of expertise and Americans from all walks of life together with their counterparts from around the world and let them discuss common interests, common problems, and share their ideas. And what comes out of this is a greater ability for people all around the world to work in tandem, to work with each other as a network to address these common problems.
First of all, thanks to all for sharing your work with us. And I have a question to all of you about the methodology of your organization, how you make youth to vote, how you empower the women, and how you make the policy.
We have lots of organizing events, and we have, lobby days essentially where young people come to Capitol Hill, they go to the White House, they go to the State House.
Participants travel alone, with others from their home country, or with a group from different countries, depending on the program's objectives. Each IVLP is organized around a specific theme supporting various U.S. foreign policy goals. Typically, international visitors travel to 4 U.S. communities over the course of 3 weeks. They visit both large and small American cities in order to see a variety of perspectives and approaches to the program's theme.
City A might tell those visitors, we've addressed this problem in a certain way. City B might say, we've addressed this problem in a completely opposite way. And visitors say, wow, why would you address it the opposite way? Why are they showing me these different ways? But showing the diversity of opinion and perspective of United States citizens is a huge strength of this program.
For me, it's been wonderful to see so many different cities, meet so many different people, and at least meeting so many different people from also different countries.
What do they talk about?
Young people report news to the people of the same age, and they give their interpretation. They're very talented reporters, so they interpret news for young people.
So it's not similar orgs back home?
We do have some, not very similar, but sort of this we do have, but it's not so well developed.
Okay, awesome. Anything useful for your work?
I think so. I really enjoy the office itself. It's like a co-working space and very interesting ideas of business model.
Very cool. What did you two think of the meeting?
It was great, and what I liked the most, almost all people working there was youth. Yeah. And it was you working for you. And they talk about different issues that affect young people. And it was virtual, so it could connect all young people all over the world.
Embassy staffs from around the world nominate and select IVLP participants each year.
Every one of our embassies around the world has a mission committee that brings on all parts of the embassy. So the economic specialist, the commercial specialist, the defense specialist, law enforcement, you name it, every part of an American embassy around the world comes together as a committee, and they look at the society that they're in, and they select the individuals who are emerging leaders in those areas that would benefit most from coming to the United States and sharing expertise and knowledge with us. And they're able to select those individuals. They're invited by the American Embassy. It's not an open selection process, say, like one of our educational programs or the Fulbright program. This is an invitation program.
I was nominating because I was involved in youth activism in my country, because we did lots of youth projects for community, and embassy noticed my engagement of civil society and make me proposal to take part in this great program. And of course I had great interest in it, and I directly accepted.
As the president of the organization which I represent, we've initiated a few partnerships with the US Embassy, so that was my first sort of contact with the US Embassy in Ukraine. And then I know that my boss at my job, where I was another job, not volunteering, what I do for organization, that he got contacted by the US Embassy and asked who can he nominate around the young people who outstand in their performance in Ukraine. And he nominated me, and as I know, there was a pool of applicants, and then the US Embassy contacted me directly, asked me a few questions, sort of a small interview, and then I got picked.
Cultural Vistas, a nonprofit that annually serves more than 5,000 individuals through professional exchange programs in the U.S. and around the world, is one of 7 national program agencies working on IVLP. Since becoming a national program agency in 2011, Cultural Vistas has been responsible for over 750 visitors from over 80 countries, participating in more than 100 unique projects.
And our role on this program is to work with our colleagues at the State Department to implement the program, everything from logistics, travel, arranging professional meetings here in Washington, D.C., and working with more than 90 local organizations around the United States to plan professional meetings in those communities as well around a certain topic.
IVLP is specifically designed by the U.S. Department of State and its embassies around the world to work with private institutions like Cultural Vistas and over 90 local community-based organizations around the United States.
Why do they do that? Because they want to make sure that when visitors come to the United States, they are shown a variety of perspectives, and they do not think that this is just the United States government's solution to a problem or method for solving a problem. They really see how NGOs, how for-profit businesses, how local governments, state governments, and federal governments work together to solve that issue.
Cultural Vistas has a staff of 6 people planning and implementing IVLP projects. Staff members bring a wide range of experience and expertise to each IVLP project.
So inside of our team, we're quite diverse in our experience, our language capabilities, and the regions of the world we've lived and worked. And that really helps us to make sure that we have people on each project that know the region and know that topic as well as possible.
Cultural Vistas has 4 basic goals: to build careers, to enrich minds, to advance global skills, and to connect lives. And IVLP is an extension of these goals.
By enriching minds, we mean giving them some different perspectives on the United States. They might have stereotypes, but not really know anybody, both in general sort of cultural and political realm and their specific topic or area of expertise.
Actually, I was surprised that I met quite a lot of people who knew quite a lot about international politics and foreign affairs, and that surprised me. What I know and hear about the States, and I can actually understand that a lot of people won't know about so much about world geography and international relations because the States is so huge. I mean, that's enough just knowing the different states in the country. But usually we don't hear a lot about Americans knowing a lot about what's going on in the world.
So I thought it will be bigger if I know it from TV, yeah, but it's good to be here. I enjoy it.
I see DC just as I expected. I consider here the Brussels of the US. Like, I can say that DC is Brussels of the US. All main things in here, all governmental buildings in here, all officials in here. But the different thing that I didn't expect it that here there's taxation without representation. I wouldn't expect this. I mean, I didn't know this is happening in the US.
Connecting lives, they come here for 3 weeks. They meet their colleagues or experts in their same field. Hopefully, once they return home, the visitors maintain contact with those Americans and potentially other participants from their own country or from other countries. Advancing global skills, they work on teamwork, on being in a situation where they're more uncomfortable, working with somebody cross-culturally in a different language. And so all of these things really fit in with what Cultural Vistas as an organization tries to do and the missions that we try to work toward. So in that way, IVLP program really fits in well with what Cultural Vistas wants to do.
So we're here in family transition. We are volunteering for this afternoon, and we are browsing through donated clothes and stuff for housing. So we are doing the control and check. Some of the stuff are being recycled and some are being kept, and it's going to be used in a thrift shop that is owned by family in transition. So it's nice to be helpful. Look, baby's there. What about shoes? Also, baby's shoes, maybe right?
Yeah,
Only baby
yeah.
clothes?
They're not going to wash them here. Yeah?
To recycling, you should
Just
put
to
everything
recycle.
to stay.
These are good ones.
And
As a national IVLP programming agency, Cultural Vistas works with community-based members, or CBMs, all affiliates of the Washington, D.C.-based nonprofit Global Ties U.S. These organizations plan the individual local itineraries in each city for the visitors. With more than 90 CBMs in 44 states, these organizations work to match the incoming visitors and their program objectives with the local resources in their communities. CBMs set up professional meetings, arrange cultural activities, and organize home hospitality experiences for the visitors. The World Affairs Council in Seattle, Washington, a CBM, has a long history of working on IVLP projects. They plan programming for about 500 international visitors a year.
What I do is basically plan the local programs for international delegations that come through on State Department IVLP programs. So that means connecting them with leaders and individuals and organizations in their fields to kind of foster more exchange on ideas or topics that are current and important to them.
Every local itinerary is specifically designed for each IVLP.
So each program, it's not a canned operation, you know, oh, we have judges coming in, oh, okay, we'll do this one. No, it's finding the perfect fit so that when they come here, they feel that the program was made specially for them with resources, especially for them, and they go home and can use that information and can continue, hopefully continue reaching out to the resources and communicating with them because they did have something in common.
Mainly we see a lot of government programs. We have a lot of great access to our state and local governments. We are also seeing a lot of women's rights. We also have a long history of doing youth development programs, as well as animation and audiovisual design. We've had road safety and management. We did one on whale watching. So we try and spread things out over a wide range of topics.
Peaches. They got a lot of peaches there.
No.
Georgia!
Georgia. New Virginia.
Oh.
One that's west of Virginia.
I think
Virginia.
I know West Virginia. Oh, that one.
I know from the song, the West Virginia. Mountain Mama.
Yeah.
I know.
I keep missing it. Say it again.
Mountain Mama, like.
Take me home.
Take me home, country roads.
Yeah.
I know. Like Shenandoah River.
Yes.
Like Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yep.
What's
Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah.
Older than the sea.
Older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads.
IVLP projects ensure that participants see all aspects of the United States, both professionally and personally. Through a network of tens of thousands of volunteers, visitors have the opportunity to see Americans as Americans themselves. To accomplish this, CBMs coordinate home hospitality visits.
These volunteers are particularly useful because they bring our guests into their homes, to their backyards, to their schools, their parks. They bring them to soccer matches. They let them see Americans on common ground, if you will, and this is where they see American values, because when you meet Americans, you meet American values. And it's not enough to understand our policies and our programs. You need to understand who we are, because that creates the country that is the United States of America.
IVLP participants are not the only ones who benefit from the home hospitality experience.
I've had groups from all various Arab countries, South American countries. We had a lovely group of Pakistani women that came, all Pakistani women coming to look at domestic violence issues in the United States and the laws that protect women in the United States. And it's not only interesting to meet them as people and what their lives are like, but also to talk about the differences in their culture and the way they live.
And ongoing friendships have formed.
And one of our South African friends met us in Zululand, and she took us to the President Tumba's wedding when he was marrying his fourth wife. And I thought it was very, very interesting. We had the conversation in my living room about having multiple wives, and then we got to go to the President's wedding in South Africa for his fourth wife.
I can assure you, from having spoken to a great many alumni of our IVLP program, some of them who have gone on to be heads of state and heads of government, Nobel Prize winners, they, after the years go by, they may very well forget the name of the assistant secretary of this and that who spoke to them, or the adjunct professor of something else that spoke to them. They never forget the American family who hosted them in their living room, in their dining room, in their backyard. They remember their kids, they remember their pets, they remember their neighbors, because that's a real living people-to-people connection.
It was great, it was great. Well, we've met with half Polish family, so I had the opportunity to talk a bit in my language. Well, the guys were absolutely nice to us. They had prepared the very good dinner. Well, it was awesome.
After 3 intensive weeks of meetings and cultural activities, international visitors share their impressions of the IVLP experience and discuss how to build on it.
Make this better. And I will recommend do it in the middle of the program, because then you know already the people from your group, and you already know what the people do.
Upon departure, the IVLP concludes, but the experience is not over. After returning home, international visitors engage with the embassy in their home countries, as well as their new contacts through social media and alumni groups.
Probably one of the most valuable takeaways would be also our connections with our colleagues. We have learned a lot from each other, and we already thought of some joint projects, and I'm sure that as they come back we will keep our contacts as IVLP alumni, and we'll try to help each other to develop our projects. So we really would love to stay in touch with each other.
IVLP quite possibly has the greatest alumni association unmatched by any program in the United States. Its distinguished ranks include Supreme Court justices, CEOs, heads of universities, and heads of state.
But just looking at the leadership of other countries around the world and knowing how important it is in a time like this for there to be heads of state of other countries who have had a first-hand direct experience of the United States and with Americans that can bring that kind of accurate clarity to all their dealings that we have around the world with other countries. When it's so complicated and so important, they have that direct connection thanks to the IVLP program.
Bosnia and Herzegovina is a very, very complicated country. We have a lot of administrative levels. The city level that I work in is the first step that you take when being a politician. I consider it to be a first step because I can learn a lot of things during these 4 years so that I can maybe run for office on some other level when this term ends. And I will be doing that, of course, yes.
These connections go beyond the IVLP experience. They expand the participants' world for a lifetime.
I think that it's a great program. I think that I'm very lucky and I'm very honored to be a part of this project, and with the experience which like I was invited to a sort of experience and opportunities, I feel that I have to give back to my community now when I'm back, and I think it's like the best which could happen to a young person to experience it.